Much for joining
Thanks,
us.
Larry. Appreciate it.
Now, on the Senate side, Barbara Boxer locked out Republicans in order to advance a cap-and-trade global warming bill today, I think. So what's the GOP's next move? Let's hear about this one. Cap-and-trade, global warming. Oh, my God. Here now we have Oklahoma Republican Senator James Inhofe and Missouri Republican Senator Kit Bond. Now, gentlemen, before we begin, please take a listen to what Senator Boxer had to say at the hearing today.
We are pleased that despite the Republican boycott, we have had the will to move this bill forward. We believe we were fair, more than fair. We tried to meet, every objection the Republicans had by having the EPA here to answer any and all questions, and not one Republican on the committee showed up.
All right, so let me bring our two distinguished senators, and we played that clip for you because you weren't there, so I wanted you to know what Ms. Boxer was saying. I'm always trying to be helpful to our guests. Kit Bond, Senator Kit Bond, let me begin with you. Was this a boycott by the Republicans, or were you locked out, or what happened here?
We wanted to find out how much this bill was going to cost. Our constituents in Missouri want to know what a bill does before they vote on it. Here's 1,000 pages they wanted us to swallow. And we said, find out how much it costs, how many jobs it's going to kill, what it's going to do to our citizens in Missouri and other states.
All right, but Senator Inhofe, let me ask you this. There's no price out, but people tell me for 200 years, certain customs, or I don't know if it's a law or not, says when you take a committee vote on a big issue, you got to have both parties there. I think at least 2 members of the opposition party. Now, that didn't happen. No Republicans were there. How can Senator Boxer just go ahead and do this? Senator Inhofe.
Well, I'm sorry. Well, they're a majority. They have the House and the Senate and the White House. So the arrogance set in, Larry. And there is a rule. It says that 2 members of the minority must be there. Now, as far as the boycott's concerned, let's keep in mind, Kit's right. We made a request several weeks ago, and I can remember this. I was actually on your show once when we had made a request. We wanted the EPA to make an evaluation as to how much this thing was going to cost. Now, they didn't want that because they didn't want that out in the public, and so they refused to do it. For 3 weeks, we've been asking for that. Now, let's go back to the Clear Skies legislation. When I was the chairman of that committee, Republicans were a majority. They were demanding to have the evaluation of the Clear Skies for 2 years. We went through this thing. We finally got everything that they wanted, and we voted on it. That took 2 years. We're only asking for 3 weeks to get an evaluation. We know what it's going to cost, Larry, because cap and trade is cap and trade. It'd be about $300 billion a year as far as the tax is concerned.
Well, okay, I appreciate that. Do a lot of damage to the economy, according to numerous estimates, including the Department of Energy.
Well, and it wouldn't accomplish anything. That's the main thing.
But Senator Bond, I'm still hung up on this. If you need 2 Republicans in there, and there were 0 Republicans, how can Senator Boxer hold this vote? Is the whole vote invalid?
That's a question that's going to go to the parliamentarian. And the parliamentarian in the Senate reports to the majority leader. So we'll just wait and see how it works out.
So I think it's important to note that these are committee rules established back in 1970. Never once since 1970 has this happened. So it is unprecedented, and Kit's right. We'll have to get a ruling on it. But you know how they're going to rule. I have no question about that.
All right, so you're going to get the short end of that stick.
But they don't have the votes to pass it, so that's the main thing.
On the floor?
On the floor.
On the floor. So you're not worried. There's no prediction that this thing will actually pass.
No, it's not going to pass. The most votes they got were during actually back in 2005, and that was about 34 votes. They need 60 votes to make this thing pass. How many of these new senators want to go back to their states and say, aren't you proud of me? I voted for the largest tax increase in the history of America. It ain't going to happen, Larry.
Senator Kit Bond, on the substance of this thing, I'm sure you've seen the reports that, first of all, we're in a period of 10 years, the last 10 years, of global cooling. That's number 1. Number 2, a lot of scientists are now saying that rather than man-made industrial-related carbon emissions, that the real problem with the prior warming shift that may have occurred is sunspots or solar activity, and that this whole thing is just kind of a scam analysis. What's your take on that?
First, Larry, I'm not a scientist, but I'll tell you one thing that scientists have told us, and the director of the EPA confirmed, even if we did all these things, even if their assumptions are correct, that it is humans who are causing it. It would have no impact, no measurable impact on the climate. This is just a cap and tax bill that's going to put a huge burden on American families, farmers, workers, small businesses, and it's going to have a devastating effect on the Midwest, the Southwest, and the Great Plains area where we depend upon coal. We need more nuclear power, more biofuels, more clean coal. This is the way we can get the energy we need and avoid $4, even $5 gasoline and reduce emissions.
Do you agree with Senator Inhofe, Kit Bond, do you agree with Mr. Inhofe that it ain't going to pass?
I am always a little paranoid because there are many things that can happen up here, but I think the more we educate people, if we were able to lay out for them an EPA analysis. The last time they did this on the Lieberman-Warner bill, they said if burden on a family of four would be $4,300. We did some work in Missouri with the preeminent ag policy director. It would cost an average production family farm $11,000 at the beginning, and then over $32,000 a year. The total, we figure that the gas tax would increase and be $3.1 trillion. Higher gas bills, higher diesel bills, and higher aviation fuel.
Senator Inhofe, Senator John Kerry was on our network today, interviewed by John Harwood, our Washington reporter, our Washington chief. Mr. Kerry's trying to create a compromise. I want to ask you about it, because some of the provisions he's talking about, first of all, is a big expansion of nuclear power, and secondly, a big expansion of offshore oil drilling. What can you tell us about Senator Kerry's compromise?
Well, first of all, I don't believe that's going to happen, Larry, because the environmentalists are not going to let him do it, and he wouldn't want to do it anyway. It's the Democrats that have the moratorium on offshore drilling. Just 2 weeks ago, they came out with this study that showed us, America, having more reserves than any other country, and yet the Democrats won't let us develop 83% of those. And so I don't think he's going to reverse his position from the past. He doesn't want drilling. He doesn't want nuclear. And I should say the Democrats don't want any of it. They don't want any of the above. We want all of the above.
Gentlemen, just on the way out, I want to get your quick take on health care voting. Senator Bond, will there be a health care vote on the floor of the Senate before the end of this year?
I would hope not. I think the American people, my constituents in Missouri, don't want a 2,000-page bill that takes over health care, raises taxes, cuts Medicare spending by $500 billion, drives up premium costs, to drive people out of private insurance.
Senator Inhofe, if Speaker Pelosi wins her riverboat gamble on Saturday, will that force a vote in the Senate?
No, I won't force it. I don't think Harry wants. They don't want to vote on that, and I don't think you'd have one before the end of the year. He's made that pretty clear.
All right, we're going to leave it there. No vote before the end of the year. That's a big change. Thank you, gentlemen. We appreciate the update. Senator Jim Inhofe of Oklahoma, Senator Kit Bond of Missouri.